This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and you know we typically feature a beer of the week. I am Matt, and as always is Lauren with me. If this is your first time, hang out with us, thank you so much for deciding to join and check out our show. Please, if you would like to stay, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, follow, all of the good stuff. Share with a friend, play it for your dog, your cat, your rabbit, your grandma. Doesn't matter what it is. We are in the cold months. I was complaining like an old man about the cold today. And today's movie, we are going to go on a nice little journey into the world of Gremlins 1 and Gremlins 2, the chaotic world, I should say. It's only fitting because the holidays are chaotic, and this movie sure does not disappoint. And then also, if you're coming back, man, thanks for coming back. As always, really appreciate you guys. Make sure if we mess up on anything, let us know what we do. And our flow of the show is we go into what we are drinking that week. Yeah, what we messed up on, maybe what we've been reading or watching lately, some news, and then the main topic. My beer of the week is from Definitive Brewing Company, one of my favorite breweries out of Maine. Actually, I got to go there last week when I went home for Thanksgiving to go see my family up in Massachusetts. And this is called Euphoric Frubulous. It is a very delicious, I think, double fruited sour ale with strawberry, marshmallow, and peanut butter, coming in at 6.5%. I tasted it, and it took me a minute to kind of like realize it's like this deep red color. Fruited sours are really dark, and it took me a minute to be like, what does this taste like? And it tastes just like a strawberry Uncrustable. That's exactly what it tastes like. If you've ever had an Uncrustable, this beer tastes just like an Uncrustable. And I think
is that good or bad?
I think I like it. I think I like it.
Sure.
It's good. I also have another one from Mass Landing that is a PB&J. They're Gunner's Daughter, but PB&J. So I'll have to try that and compare the two peanut butter jelly times. But Lauren, welcome back to the show. We haven't recorded in a couple weeks, so I'm glad you also survived Thanksgiving as I somehow did myself.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even take a single picture on Thanksgiving Day except for of my coffee with the Thanksgiving Day parade. I was just, I didn't even get a kill shot of all the beers. They all ended up in the recycle bin before I had a chance. And then I instantly go to like, as soon as everybody leaves, it's just Christmas overhaul. So the next day I had to text both my parents, hey, I didn't get any pictures. Can you guys send me what you got?
I took pictures because it was like the family was together, the family back east. My kids were hanging out with their nephews who I haven't seen them in a year and a half. So I like to take all the pictures because we're not around them all the time. But if I was like around family all the time, it'd be different. But for me, it was like snap, 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 snap.
I think I'm just bad when I'm enjoying myself. I kind of forget. Like even when I'm with you, like you're really good about like, let's just take a picture real quick. Like I'm terrible at it. And
I like having memories.
But I mean, I do too, but it's so in the zone. Sometimes I forget, but I put Bailey's in my coffee during the parade. We were drinking beer all day. And then let's just say I was Christmas decorating with a barrel-aged stout.
That's bold of you. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I did not run that morning. As I had been talking about, it was 30 degrees, snowing, raining, ice, and I was not running a 5-mile race. So, but I didn't wake up putting Bailey's in my coffee. No, I was watching the parade too.
I love Christmas, Starbucks Christmas blend and some Bailey's. Oh,
that's
I love
fair.
It.
My sister did get me a pumpkin spice latte with her friend. Shout out to her. But I had a couple beers actually that were really good IPAs. Oh yeah. What do you have? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I went off on a tangent. I actually have yacht money. So a Christmas miracle, we went out Saturday night. So one of these breweries that I absolutely love, that's a fairly new one that I need to bring you to next time you're here, is called 12 Talons. They're just, I think, over a year old. And last year they had a peppermint stout called Peppermint Kathy, and they got it back this year and they canned it. So we got cans of that. And then we went over to Whippoorwill, had some great beers, which is where I found that beer that has Jingle All the Way that I'm going to get in the mail to you this week. And
That's
then I went
right. I saw that.
Skyward. And a Christmas miracle, they had yacht money. I don't think they usually have it in December, but I have it in my Jack Skellington glass. So we got skeletons on both, and it pairs well with Gremlins, because Gremlins do whatever the hell they want. And
they really do.
Would drink this beer every day if I could. So I'm doing whatever the hell I want right now.
That's
and my
totally
Jack
fair.
Skellington ears, for those on YouTube, they will be relevant to a fun fact.
Oh, and I'm trying to get our video up on Spotify too. Apparently that's a big thing now. So I'll try to get that up there.
Oh.
If anybody's listening on Spotify, and hopefully you see, we'll know this week. I did go up, and speaking of beers, like I spent a lot of time at Treehouse, which is like
Rub
a lot
it in.
of Mecca. I did, honestly, like I didn't want to keep going back. I did. But
Who doesn't want to keep going back to Treehouse?
Here it is. Like we went the first night, and my dad and I had this really amazing vanilla bean stout, which tasted so good. And then we went back home. Anything. The next day on Wednesday, I went up to visit some friends in New Hampshire. I went to Jetpack Comics, which is really cool. So I got to go see Jetpack Comics. If anybody goes up in New Hampshire, Jetpack in Rochester is my old store, and it's like the best comic book shop ever. Rich there is like just wicked nice. And then I went and stopped at Definitive. And then, I went and didn't do anything, but I went to some breweries and stuff. But I ended up bringing back, I brought back like 40 beers from New England that I don't know how I'm going to, I don't even drink all that much when I'm not, if we're doing the podcast, like that's typically when I drink at home.
Right.
Unless so it'd be funny. I'm going to send some. I got some to go to Tabby. I got some stuff for Erica. I am going to get some stuff out to you. But I will say one thing that was really funny to me is I met some friends of mine to go to a restaurant. We're all going to meet back up. Friends I went to school with back. We've been friends for half our lives, 14, 15, since we were 14, I should say. And my friend and I I was in Total Wine. Now this Total Wine was like the size of a Costco. I go in there and I'm just like blown away. It's amazing. It's huge. So I go in there looking for some local beers. I'm getting lost. My friend comes in and, we hop over to Target, we come back, and all of a sudden we see like crowds of people. People were asking us like, do you need help with anything? I was like, no. And it made me feel like they thought I was stealing. Out as I saw a crowd of people tasting different gins, I was like, wait, you can do that here? Because Virginia, we don't really get tasting. Maybe I just don't go at the right time.
We did get tastings at our Total Wines all the time. I've done a couple of them with craft beer.
Well, we were walking around like gins and bourbons and vodkas. Dude, Total Wine is the Costco for like adults or alcoholics. Cause like, what the hell, man? I was just I got kind of tipsy off of just taking free samples of liquors and stuff, walking around Total Wine. I was like, this is the most 34-year-old man thing I've ever done. It was just me and a few friends. And then I had to, of course, show my friends Hot Frosty, but we'll get into that in a second. God. Let's go into what we've messed up on. Do you want to talk about the Creation Con that you had went to real quick? I know you went to it recently. Yeah. And why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
My first Supernatural Con, I went all 3 days. I'm not going to go into it too much. I kind of want to do like a little video separately, kind of going over it, because there's so much to unpack. I feel like I could talk for a while about it. I will say it was very overwhelming. There was a lot of extras that I didn't anticipate needing to do it's a pricier con. It's a lot of fun though. If you love Supernatural, definitely do it. Overall, what I will say will I do 3 days again? No. Would I do 1 day again and do all of the music related things like the concerts and whatnot? Absolutely yes. So if you go over to nerdinitiative.com, I will have an article up there. Then I'm calling it, instead of the good, the bad, the ugly, I'm calling it the heaven, the hell, the purgatory.
Oh, and that's a really good name. Yeah.
It's kind of my experiences with some tips and tricks. And I'm also going to, at some point, I got a ton of fun facts. So one of the things I will say, my absolute favorite panel was Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He turned every question into a fun fact about The Walking Dead, The Boys, or Supernatural. Because you get some you get some great questions from some people, and then you get some off the wall.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you do.
Like one of the questions they asked, and it was like Abaddon, Jody, Donna, and I think Mary Winchester. So the panels, it could be one person, it could be a collab of people who were never on the show together.
Kill? Because I'm killing Mary Winchester ruthlessly.
She's so nice. You know what? She's got a nice ass. She walked by, I was like, she's got a nice ass, and she's like in her 50s. I mean,
maybe that's why.
Nothing on Friends.
Maybe that's why what's his name was trying to get with her before trying to kill her. Catch.
Maybe. Oh yeah. Catch. I'd rather be hunting chupacabra with your mother. So somebody asked if you could have any tail, what would it be? And I'm just like, who
Mary
would think to
Winchester's.
ask that? But then watching these people come up with like how they would answer that, like Abaddon goes Tigger's tail. And I was like, that's genius. She goes, then I can just bounce everywhere. And then I think one of them said mermaid tail, but it was like, what? These aren't the questions I was expecting. But then Jeffrey Dean Morgan was so amazing. Some of the fun facts he gave was when they were filming The Walking Dead during COVID, he was actually living in Alexandria in Rick's house where Rick and him had gotten to a fight. And there's a hole on the wall from Negan. And his kids wrote, "Dad was here." And the reason his wife, who is in One Tree Hill, she's a famous actress as well. The reason she ended up playing his wife on the show was because of COVID, and like they needed an actress to play his wife. And he's like, hey, my wife is already in my bubble, here, which means she's in your bubble already. So let's just use her, because they were apprehensive and bringing new people in. So I thought that was a really cool kind of a happy accident. But he just, cool. I think one other fun fact I'll give, and then, I will do more because I took notes and whatnot, was he said, the roles he gets recognized the most for are John Winchester, Negan, and Denny from Grey's Anatomy. And he said when people recognize him for Negan, he often gets the finger. When they recognize him for Denny, they often start crying. And when they recognize him for John Winchester, it's a combination of the two.
Oh man, I'm surprised it's not more like, because he was Thomas Wayne, man. But Batman.
But that was so was Bella.
I know.
Bella is. But I love that because Bella and him, John Winchester, are in the show together. And then they're Negan and Maggie, and then they're Martha and Thomas Wayne.
That's true. And I guess my thing is he always, there's that big fan casting drawing of him as Thomas Wayne in Flashpoint. So that's why I was a little surprised.
And he's the comedian.
He is. Yes. In Watchmen. Yes. One of the first comic book big movies for DC. But yeah. All right. Well, be on the lookout for Lauren's Supernatural Convention thoughts as we go into what we've messed up on or looked into. I texted Lauren this because I was re-listening to see what I messed up on. And because that's something we like to do, hold ourselves accountable. Lauren was like, what? I go, Bubba Hotep. It's the Bruce Campbell. So in the last episode, Batman Returns, excuse me, I was talking about something about Bruce Campbell being in like that Elvis show and or movie, and it was Bubba Hotep. It's where, so he is at an old person's home. He's Elvis, but he lost his memory, and there's like this mummy thing that tries to kill them, wherever. It's in like an old cheesy movie. We'll have to watch it next Halloween, but it was Bubba Hotep. That's what it was. You'll just have to look it up. It's ridiculous is what it is. Moving on from that and going into what we've been reading or watching, Snotgirl issue 16 is out. That's a continuation. If nobody's read or heard of Snotgirl, I highly recommend checking it out, man. It's a good time. It really is. My wife is really big into this comic book. It's Brian Lee O'Malley, who also, funny enough, does Scott Pilgrim, and Leslie Hung is also the artist on this. And it's picking up where they left off. Lottie and Carolyn are now in a relationship, and it's just kind of diving into that. And there's something more to it. But aside from that, the only other thing I did was Two-Face from DC Comics, and Christian Ward. It's his most well-reviewed comic to date so far. Actually, he wrote it. It's about Harvey Dent, Two-Face. Now this is kind of going as it's a character deep dive. Basically, it's the narrative driven. It starts off as a courtroom drama in issue 1, where he's got Victor Zsasz on trial for killing a Falcone Maroni family member, and he's about to prove his innocence and all this other stuff. And Zsasz is Zsasz because he keeps ticks on his body and stuff. And it shows like just how smart Harvey Dent is. And it's more about Harvey Dent while he's keeping the other side of him at bay. And there's some really cool artwork sequences in there with using the shadows and the lighting. And you kind of get some glimpses into the mind of Harvey Dent a bit. So I really recommend people check that out from DC Comics. DC's doing a lot of cool stuff. Now I watched a couple things on Netflix. There was a recent movie called Our Little Secret starring Lindsay Lohan. You know it. Hallmark.
Oh, I think Brielle wanted to watch the trailer for it. I put the trailer on, and Josh was like, "Where's Lindsay Lohan?" I'm like, he didn't even recognize her. But they did make
she's got a heck of a comeback story. First of all,
there was
good
a
on
nod
her.
to Mean Girls in the trailer about like.
No, that was.
She looked like someone I went to high school with.
That was Hot Frosty, which I'll get to in a minute.
Oh,
Hot Frosty is that? So
maybe Brielle watched the trailer for that,
because I showed all my friends Hot Frosty and like Hallmark Christmas movies, and I even made them watch MILF Manor. And so we were drinking and watching those movies. And so Hot Frosty, it's Lacey Chabert is sitting there watching a movie, and it's Lindsay Lohan's previous movie for Netflix, where she has amnesia from falling in a ski accident. And that's when Lacey's like, she looks like somebody I went to high school with. That's the kind of thing. But Our Little Secret is actually good. I was very blown away by how surprised that this movie was funny. It had a lot of funny moments.
Frosty good?
Of course, Hot Frosty was like good in a bad way. This movie was like, it got good. Chuckles out of me. And it was actually pretty good. You know, Lindsay Lohan and this guy, they were like high school lovers. She was moving away. Her mom had died. And he proposes to her. They're like, oh God, it's like a whole awful thing. They split up for 10 years, come back together. And essentially it's...
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit bmwusa.com for details.
They meet back up at their significant others' families for Christmas. They didn't know each other were going to be there. And so instead of telling people that, yeah, we know each other, they decide to hide it. And you can only kind of imagine how that goes. But it had some really funny moments, man. It was cute. It was funny. It was lighthearted. Acting obviously isn't going to be top tier, but I got to say, man, that was a really good movie. I think people should watch it. But aside from that, that's what I've been getting up to. What have you been reading, watching? Probably a lot better than what I've been getting up to.
So my comic book this week, I just reviewed Wolverine #4 because I talked about some of the other ones I had read last week or 2 weeks ago. Wolverine #4 is by Saladin Ahmed and Martin Kokola. This is the From the Ashes. It's been really fun because it's very classic Wolverine in the sense of like there's a Wendigo and like he just wants to be left alone and he keeps getting pulled back in. But it's filled with layers of things that are not your normal Wolverine story. Like it wasn't Sabretooth that showed up. Like it was different villains are showing up. Something else is going on that he's not able to fight. So there's kind of like a twist. So it's classic Wolvie, but different, which is, I mean, I feel like that's exactly what you would want for any Wolverine fan is you want something new, but you still don't want to shy away from who this character is. And what's very interesting about this Wendigo story is he learned that the Wendigo is a child and the child is fighting the Wendigo curse much harder than any grown person he's seen. So that's been going on for a couple of issues, but that's kind of the minor story that's going on while something else is, of course, going on. So there's always more than one thing, going on.
Obviously, yes.
But if anybody's not familiar with the Wendigo curse, obviously we've talked about it on our supernatural episodes. We talked about Wolverine. We've done cryptids and all of that. It is a curse that only happens apparently in certain parts of the world. He was in Canada. And if you eat human flesh because you're starving to death, that can cause the Wendigo curse. So that's what happened. But this was a child who had to like flee somewhere for his safety. His friend literally passed away and he's like, I'm going to be next unless I do this. But then the Wendigos are only supposed to be able to say Wendigo, at least in Marvel mythology. And he said something else. Like Wolvie's trying to save him and he thinks he's starting to break it, but now something else happened. And I don't know if he's going to be able to
That sounds interesting. So, okay.
It is interesting. I'm liking it. I'm loving it. I'm currently reading Stephen King's Hearts in Atlantis. So I'm almost done. I will let you know how that is next week. Apparently it is. I'm going just deep into Stephen King. Erica's brother.
I know you're on a Stephen King kick lately. Okay.
I know. I had not a year ago. I hadn't read, or a year and a half ago. I hadn't read any. I read one last
now
Halloween.
You've gone through his entire
Halloween. I read 3.
book collection.
And now I'm reading another one. So Erica's brother Ryan has read a bunch. So he gave Erica, Brandy, and I like a list. And it's funny because he's a big Friends fan. So I'm like, well, did he have to put Cujo in the freezer? That's for all you Friends people out there. So I didn't realize that he has books that are connected. I thought everything was standalone.
Oh yeah, he does.
So it's like, so he's recommending like the Dark Tower series. So this book, I guess, is part of that, but not really part of that. So
I honestly haven't read too many, so I have no idea.
The only reason I picked it up is last year when I read Stephen King, my mother-in-law was like, oh, if you're reading that, let me give you some of the books we have. And she gave me 3 random Stephen King books. And the cover of Hearts in Atlantis looks so lame. It didn't look scary at all. It didn't look intense. So I just never read it. And then Ryan recommended it. So I was like, oh, let me read this. And now I need to finish it so I can start my Krampus book. But
that's right. You did get the Krampus book. I do remember you picking that up. Yeah,
I did. So I haven't started that yet. My Christmas tree's up. I need to do that. What I've been reading, I saw Moana too.
How was it? It smashed in the box office apparently, and it was originally supposed to be like a TV script and stuff. I think I'm going to take the kids this weekend because Carrie's working. So was it worth watching?
Yeah, it was good. Logan saw it in theaters twice. He saw it with my mom.
He went twice.
And then he saw it with Josh, Brielle, and I. Yeah, it was very cute. I think it holds up to the second one. And I mean, like, the freaking animation is absolutely gorgeous. And like, I'm a sucker for anything on the ocean too. But no, it was fun. And then Dune Prophecy, dude, it keeps getting better, man.
Really? Okay.
This episode went into like the past. And so, I've been doing the quick little reviews for Nerd Initiative. But like this week and last week, both times, I've been like expecting something to happen, okay, we're going down this trope. And then I was like, whoa, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Because, every story's been told. So when you can tell it and still surprise your audience, I think that's fantastic. And then Skeleton Crew.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say we both watched Skeleton Crew, which I think deserves kind of its own episode. After a few episodes, we might do a little something. Because I enjoyed it. It's very lighthearted. It's very adventurous. It takes it back to like, it is like, I heard it described as Space Goonies a while ago before it even aired. And I'm like, no, that really makes a lot of sense. There's really cool things. I like that the kids are playing with Jedi Sith. They know that is. Wim and Neely are awesome. And I love that it's just like this big old space adventure again. That's what they kind of went back to. And I really like that.
Yeah. And it's just fun seeing the different perspectives of all these people in Star Wars, like the kids that are literally living this normal suburban life versus like the people who
really was suburbs too.
Struggling. And and it was such a cool way. Like, I feel like the house that Wim was growing up in, I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what you would expect a house in like suburbia Star Wars to look like.
It was, like the buses. Well, apparently the robot on the bus was like the original robot in like Star Tours. You saw that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I saw him in the opener, like when they do all the characters and I go, that's DJ Rex. I got so excited.
I did too, because I heard the voice too, and I was like, wait a second, this sounds really familiar.
Oh yeah, the guy from the original Star Tours, and like you can see some of those droids in the Star Tours line, but he's now DJ Rex inside the cantina. So he's the one that's like, so I just saw the outline. I'm like, is DJ Rex in this? And so of course he's not DJing, he's driving a bus. No. But I thought that was so cool. Yes, I picked up on that before
that was really cool.
Even started. Yeah. I almost
oh man,
like I'm not great at the tweeting or whatever you want to call it these days, the blue skying. I don't know, but I almost sent that out, and then I'm like, maybe that's
you should have.
I don't know.
I don't know. You should have. I think
nobody cares about my inner thoughts, even though I have a podcast.
Listen, nobody cares about mine either. It's okay. You know what? We just be random and stuff. But in other news, let's roll into some news. The Fantastic Four has wrapped filming with sticking on schedule. Really impressed. They had a wrap party. Apparently, there's a mysterious person they were hiding, and they blurred their face out.
Dun, dun, dun.
I got a feeling it's Robert Downey Jr.
I was gonna say maybe it's the because I know Ruth from Ozark is cast as Silver Surfer.
Well,
maybe
we do that,
but Surfer.
I just have a strong feeling it's RDJ. They don't want to they want to keep Doctor Doom like, when is he showing up? When is he showing up? Boom, Fantastic Four. What?
Oh my God, Doctor Doom show up in Fantastic Four. Nobody would see that coming.
This is like an alternate universe. Anyways, So that's the first part. What other news we got?
So there was a joke in Deadpool and Wolverine that Disney was like, nope, that's too much. However, of course it got out. And this is the, earmuffs, children. This is the joke. Fuck, what? We can't even afford one more X-Men? Disney is so cheap. I can barely breathe with all this Mickey Mouse in my throat. I couldn't even do it. End quote.
I
can see why that would get vetoed 100%.
I can see that. That's fair.
People are asking like, is that too... I mean, is it too far? I don't know, but it's like, come on, dude.
I get it's Deadpool, but it's also like, come on, Disney has, come on.
You gotta, I mean, Mickey's public domain now, but I think there's still a level that they want to keep him sacred. Now, if he makes any jokes about Pooh Bear, other than the, totally Winnie the Poohing shirt cock in it, I absolutely loved that. That was hilarious. But you gotta, I mean, they've been really good with pushing the boundaries, even like Deadpool over at Disneyland.
Better. Yeah.
So, but
it's a whole new world.
It's probably a whole new world.
Speaking of going the extra mile, Thanksgiving.
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit BMWUSA.com for details.
2 will begin filming in March, and Eli Roth has said that the kills will be more gruesome this time. I'm very curious to see what kind of Thanksgiving-themed kills we could get this go around. I'm in the bag.
Better than that oven scene. So The Boys, season 5 has begun filming, and this is actually a fun fact. I was there for this at the Supernatural Con. Somebody asked Jared, is there truth to any of the rumors that Kripke and you have been talking about you being in season 5. He said yes. However, all he did was say yes, that there are rumors that they have been talking. So he did not confirm he would be in it. However, he then proceeded to talk about how him and Jensen had not been in a scene together in years, almost hinting that they might be in a scene together. And of course, Jensen covers his mouth in a very...
Lauren said you guys were in a scene together. All right, Rory.
In a very sarcastically funny, like Jensen, I pulled my phone out as fast as I could and I couldn't get the picture. And of course, I've seen the picture everywhere, but I don't know what that means because all he did was confirm the rumor.
Come on, he's going to be in it. All right, let's come on.
But but when he started talking about sharing a scene with Jensen, I'm like, how are they going to do this? And if he is somebody, like, I hope that they
very slow
make him a comic book character. Oh, there was a lot of teasing for Rob being Splinter, which was fantastic. This is something like, oh, Misha's going to do this, or Misha did this, what Rob did in this, and Gabriel goes, he ate his own ass.
Oh, man.
There was a lot of teasing of Rob, and Misha made a comment of like, I could never look at Rob the same again. Can you guys?
Jeez, gosh, okay. Yeah. Anyways,
that was funny.
More to the family friendly. Right. The Muppets show at Hollywood Studios will be closing this summer. However, the Rock and Roller Coaster is going from Aerosmith to Muppets. So Muppets fans, we still got something. All right.
Shout out
Monsters
to Scott,
Inc.
And our Patreon, like, we're going to have him on, I think, at some point. I would really like for him to come on to talk about it. He was a cast member there. He is one of those who is not happy that
I feel for this. Yeah.
Yeah, that this is closing. But unfortunately, it's like my kids never want to go on this.
I get it, man. Like, Carrie, big Muppets fan. I like the Muppets. My kids could not care less about the Muppets, right? I mean, Monsters, Inc. They don't really care about Monsters, Inc. either, but it's more like contemporary versus like the Muppets have kind of died out. They're not like all around like they used to be. People just aren't into the Muppets, I guess.
I know,
which is sad.
Haunted Mansion special was so good. Well, like they had the Mike Wazowski show at the Floor Laughs or whatever at Magic Kingdom. So I was kind of surprised that it's going to be that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it sucks. Like, I love the Muppets. If we can get a Muppets resurgence, Jason Segel was almost our guy for that. But it is what it is. Maybe some other time we'll be able to get the Muppets back. Who knows? Everything kind of comes full circle at one point or another, and the things that we thought were no longer cool become cool again. But aside from that, in the comic book world of Minor Threats, which we're big fans of, Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum, it's getting another comic book. This one, it's going to be called Welcome to Twilight. Gail Simone, Matt Fraction, Brian Michael Bendis, and more will be involved in this, which is an absolutely stacked, insanely cast. Like, Matt Fraction, Brian Michael Bendis, and Gail Simone come into the world of Minor Threats.
I'm stoked.
Oh my gosh. Like, what else is there to say about that? That's right. The A team right there. Like, Patton and Jordan have built this world of, like, The Brood is coming out this coming week. Dude, they're making a show and Barflies going on. Yeah. Like, there's so much good. Minor Threats. I'm loving this universe.
I'm so glad I fell into this. And like, I only ended up falling into this universe because of Nerd Initiative. Because Ken was like, hey, you should review the alternates. I'm like, sure. What is that? And the next thing I know, like, I'm into all of it. Barflies. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. I think he's my favorite. Absolutely love him.
Oh, I respect that.
Sorry, Logan's coming in here asking me random questions.
Them kids. I never saw really Superman and Lois. Did you happen to watch that? And did you see the series finale? Because it just had the series finale. I've been seeing screenshots and stuff from it, but I never really got into it, unfortunately.
I did. I am behind this season, so I'm actually happy the season is over, which means it will be on HBO Max soon, so I can watch it. I actually just finished last season probably a week ago. I really liked Superman and Lois because it's very grounded. I mean, it's still CW, so there are things, I think I was talking about it recently.
It was like CW, but like not CW at the same time.
Right. I think all that Arrowverse kind of stuff is where it has its ups and downs, but I felt like they did a really good job with the show. I think my biggest complaint was Lois ended up getting diagnosed with breast cancer and she's ringing the bell at the end of her chemo or whatever. And they all yell, screw cancer. And I'm like, dude, y'all couldn't just like bleep it out. Like, this just sounds silly. Like, come on, F cancer.
Just one. I mean, they used to bleep stuff out in like Supernatural, so they could have bleeped,
right.
Could have said, let it go. You're going off the air anyways. What do you have to lose?
But it's a good combination of dealing with Superman and dealing with the kids because like the twins are like, I think they're like 16 at this point, and only one of them has powers. And it's the one who was considered more of like the loner or the emotional kid, or like, he had more, issues growing up. Whereas the other kid was a jock and like in football and always had a girlfriend. And he's the one that doesn't have powers. And of course they're back in Smallville. So Lana is there. And Jordan, Superman's son, has like a crush on Lana's daughter kind of thing. And then there's multiverse Like they've done a really good job, because then like multiverse Superman had killed this other Lois, and then her daughter and husband ended up coming to this Earth to survive, and now they're like integrated in Lois and Clark's family, to the point to where Lois's father is even calling this girl granddaughter. I probably just totally like whatever. I'm enjoying it. It's actually a really good show. So I did not see the series finale because I binge it once it's streaming. So,
That's
but
fair.
yes, it is good.
Ultimately
but it's
fair.
connected to Arrowverse, because we met this Superman in Supergirl years ago, and he was in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which actually changed the fact that like he had like one baby, and then he came back from Crisis and had twins.
I would be so mad.
Right?
So mad.
What the fuck? Yes.
What? Oh man. Another news. Wednesday
I like the Tyler Hoechlin guy. He's good.
I do like him. Wednesday season 2 is wrapped filming. I'm pretty excited for that one. I can't wait. That's going to come out sometime in 2025. I know that we were fans of that show, and probably another fall release ish is what I would imagine for Netflix.
So did you see some of the footage coming out of the latest Mickey Mouse boat, the latest Disney Cruise Line boat?
I haven't, because I'm trying not to, because I'm just so jealous that I want to go on it right now. And I'm waiting for you to decide when we're actually going to take this boat.
Me? I got to talk to Josh. I
got to talk to Carrie, but when are we going to go ahead and we'll book this boat? That's what I'm waiting on, Josh. Come on, Papa Josh. When are we going to get
there's something I too do not like to see too much, because when I go on the boats, I like for it to be a surprise.
Yeah.
But there's apparently a clip of America Chavez, Casey Lang, and Riri from Ironheart, or from Wakanda Forever, who's going to be an Ironheart, all together talking about a recent mission. So a lot of people are, assuming that this is foreshadowing for Young Avengers. However, this is taking so long that they're going to be regular aged Avengers.
Oh yeah, they already are. Haley Steinfeld's engaged to Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. So she's getting married. She's not quite a Young Avenger anymore.
Well, I mean, you can get married very young.
He's like 28 still. She's not a Young Avenger anymore.
Well, it's like, how old was Chris Evans when he got cast as Captain America? Like he was young, years older than I am. So I know they were all younger. Yeah. You look at Thor. I think
Scarlett Johansson wasn't she like 19 or something outrageous like that?
No, she's only a year younger than I am.
Yeah, so she was in 2000.
She was in
whenever
her 20s.
Iron Man 2. Yeah, she was wicked young. So there you go.
So I think Iron Man 2 was 2010. Yes, so she was in her 20s.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, they're not Young Avengers, but we'll pretend they are.
Yes. And one last little bit MegaCon update real quick. More comic creators such as Scott Snyder, Joe Quesada, Chris Condon. We're friends with Chris Condon. Patrick Horvath, who did Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, very good comic book. And also Andy Serkis are all going to be at MegaCon
I'm excited
in
for
February.
Andy Serkis. I hope he has a panel. I mean, I'm not Lord of the Rings fan, but I love so many other things that he's in.
I know. I'm very curious, like, what would people ask him about? Because he's been every, like, major franchise since Lord of the Rings. So it's like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Planet of the Apes, like every mocap that, Marvel. So it's like, I'm interested to see, because
he's Alfred.
I would be asking the Batman questions, but I was very surprised with like Giancarlo Esposito, how most of the questions were not what I thought they would be when he had
they're Breaking Bad. There was somebody at the Supernatural Con where, like, because a lot of Negan questions came up. He's like, all right, so this one's not about Walking Dead, and some lady 2 rows in front of me goes, thank God, and her husband goes, shh. Like, he was embarrassed she said that. I was loving the Walking Dead questions. I was fine with that.
That's God.
You never know. You never know how a panel's going to go.
That's true. You never do. Just like that, we are going to go ahead and go into our discussion of Gremlins 1 and 2. So go ahead, get your little, snuggie on. Don't feed your pets past midnight. Do not get them wet. And we'll be back in just a moment.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+. All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Just like that, we are back talking about the 1984 film Gremlins. You can currently watch it on HBO Max. You can get it on Prime. You can rent it, I should say, on Prime for $3.99, or you can get it on Philo. What is Philo, Lauren? I've never heard of that subscription service. Philo?
Yeah, it's PHILO. It's one of those that, like, sometimes when we're watching things, I think we've done you can do a free week if you want to watch it on there. But
cool.
It's got random stuff.
I had no idea. Well, anyways, this film came out on June 8th, 1984, despite being a Christmas movie, and it is 40 years old. Would you believe it? It's written by Christopher Columbus, starring Phoebe Cates, who you might know from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Zach Galligan, Hoyt Axton, and a very young Corey Feldman, who at that point was really mostly only in commercials. That, like I said, was released in June despite being a Christmas film. Funny fact, there were some scenes that actually created the PG-13 rating because it was also produced by Steven Spielberg. And arguably enough, there's some sequences that you can argue maybe should be R-rated, but it had a budget of $11 million and ended up making $212.9 million. And also, this came out the same weekend as Ghostbusters did. Unbelievable. Yes, we could have been I don't even know what we could have not called that weekend. It would have been our version of the Barbenheimer in 1984. We're going from Gremlins to Ghostbusters or vice versa. And Gremlins actually only made $1.1 million less than Ghostbusters opening weekend. And Gremlins turned out to be the fourth highest grossing film of the year with a domestic box office of $168,459 doll hairs, putting it behind Beverly Hills Cop, Temple of Doom, and Ghostbusters for the year 1984.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff. So, Lauren, why don't you go hit us with that summary real quick?
So, Dad goes to Chinatown to sell travel toothbrushes with shooting toothpaste and leaves with a Mogwao, aka Gizmo. He comes with very specific instructions, primarily don't feed him after midnight. It's an early Christmas gift for his son, who is an adult. He accidentally gets Gizmo wet, though, of course, making more Mogwaos, and decides to show his science teacher with a super sweet pocket protector. Did you see that? What was with the pocket?
He was awesome, but Carrie was losing her mind because he was not using gloves in his lab and he was eating food, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is stressing me out for the bacteria in the high." I was like, "Dude, it's 1984. It's fine."
It ended up not mattering.
He died anyway, so
infected, yes. So then a broken clock allows the Gremlins, not Gizmo, of course, to eat after midnight. And then, dun dun dun, as the Gremlins become murderous maniacs, Billy, Gizmo, and Kate have to stop them and save the town for Christmas. They, of course, do so, but it's decided that Gizmo should probably go back to where he came from with Mr. Wing until Billy is better able to have him. And
it wasn't really a choice. Mr. Wing was like, he's coming with me, but maybe one day you'll be able to have him back. And it's like, yeah, why were you even selling this creature out of your office, first of all? Like, when Billy's dad was like, every house in America should have one. I was like,
I know, he kept saying no, and it's like, everybody's got a price.
They do, as we see here. This movie was actually always on when I was young on like TNT and stuff like that. So I don't even remember when I first watched it. It's just one of those movies that was always on, whether it was Christmas, whether it was not Christmas. So it was actually, fun fact, the merchandising in 1999, like it's one of the Furbies. Like there's a Gizmo Furby that was out.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, this movie just always was. It's an integral part of just pop culture growing up. And like I said, it made the PG-13 rating. So it's had a lot of ramifications throughout pop culture history. But do you ever remember first time watching this film, unlike me?
No, I don't. Both the 1 and 2, they're just like glimpses. And honestly, my memory was that 2 was with 1 because I remember remembering the female gremlin and then the New York, like singing like New York, New York.
Oh yeah.
So I did not realize that those were two separate movies. And like in my child memory, they were one movie.
I never saw 2 until today. Somehow I've never seen number 2 until today. I don't know how I escaped it that long because it was chaos, but yeah.
But yeah, some of the lines in this though are so funny. Like when she's like, I don't celebrate Christmas. Some people are opening presents and others are opening up their wrists. It's like,
oh my God. How about when Phoebe Cates the whole reason why she doesn't celebrate Christmas is because they come home
warning kids, but like no children no believers to be in the room for this.
Your kids are here. 3, 2, 1. Her dad was playing Santa Claus and got stuck in the chimney and broke his neck, and that's where they found him. Like
she didn't know until they smelled it in the fireplace.
Yeah,
it's fucking dark.
What? Like no. Oh my God! Like
Real wanted to watch this movie, and we had to have a conversation first because I wasn't sure if she still believed or not.
Well, yeah. So first things first, like Christopher Columbus kind of like had this whole thought in his mind once. The Mogi or whatever it's called is actually an imaginary Mogwai. I'm illiterate. It's an imaginary mischievous spirit regarded as responsible.
Well, this is what a gremlin is in general.
Yes,
not a Mogwai, but a gremlin. Okay,
sorry, I'm going to get to some history here real quick. It's an unexplained problem or faults, especially a mechanical or electrical one. A gremlin in my computer omitted a line, for example. Electrical gremlins are often difficult to locate. Now, actually, the origination came from children's author and RAF pilot Roald Dahl, who published a book called Gremlins in 1943 based on the creature. Disney considered making a film of it, and actually, fun fact, Falling Hair, which is a Bugs Bunny cartoon of the era, has him actually battling a gremlin on the plane. As Christopher Columbus explained, his inspiration came from his loft when at night, what sounded like a platoon of mice would come out, and to hear them skittering around in the blackness was actually really creepy. He then wrote the original screenplay as a spec script to show potential employers that he had writing abilities. The story was not actually intended to be filmed until Steven Spielberg took an interest in turning it into a film. Now, Steven Spielberg actually first considered having Tim Burton direct this because he saw Tim Burton's short film Frankenweenie, which I didn't know Frankenweenie was a short film at that time because I remember it as the animated film that came out in like the 2000s. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I'm not sure the timeline adds up. There's might be he did a short and then he did another movie with Marv from Home Alone.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess he did like a short Frankenweenie, but then they turned it into like that full on claymation.
Yeah, the black. But there was a black and white film too with Frankenweenie years before the animated one too. I tried watching it. It's not great, but that is what my ears are for. That's why I was Tim Burton. I got my Jack Skellington ears.
Look at you,
Jack Skellington glass. I just try to connect it all.
Yes. Well, Steven Spielberg got involved in the movie. As we know, we get a couple of Indiana Jones nods immediately, like the little boy in Chinatown with the Yankees hat, and then a billboard blatantly ripping off the movie. Now, Chris Columbus originally wanted this film to be more gruesome and R-rated. However, Spielberg encouraged him otherwise. Spielberg suggested keeping one Mogwai good and be loyal to Billy. Enter Gizmo. So originally, Gizmo was actually supposed to turn into Spike. Is that his name?
Oh,
Stripe.
So.
Stripe. Sorry, I'm calling him Spike. It's Stripe. He was originally supposed to turn into Stripe. My apologies. However, that's when the whole thing turned into like, no, we need to have the one good, the one bad. So from there, it pretty much turned and should have been an R-rated film. Columbus didn't really get why he wanted to be involved.
It was actually only PG though, because how bad this movie was is why they're like, okay, we need PG-13.
But Spielberg originally, his whole goal was to make it more audience friendly and maintain the satirical edge. Spielberg encouraged the PG-13 rating, which was not yet a thing then. Before it was either PG or R. Indiana Jones was actually part of this change too. And these movies were all PG. People then complained that they were way too violent to be rated that way, which obviously the Gremlins sequel is PG-13. And Lauren has a thought on the Santa sequence alone.
Well, I mean, that right there, I would love to see an actual R-rated version of this. I think that would be really cool to have them bring it back and go full R-rated.
Oh, yeah.
But just like the Santa scene alone, the fact that was PG, which means like how many kids had Santa outed in this movie? Like that is...
Well, yeah. Terrible. Why don't you tell us why that was so controversial?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Oh, it was just the fact that okay, so well,
Also, the conversation about Santa is what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah. So why
the
was the
conversation about Santa
around
was
Santa?
controversial,
Yes.
and the studio executives they actually wanted it removed because they felt it was like too like we don't know. Is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be sad? Is this supposed to be scary? And the director Joe Dante, he was like, no, I'm not taking this scene out. Again, we're talking about the scene where she talks about Santa and her father passing away and everything. And Spielberg was not a fan either.
He's looking there like, what is going on?
They
Phoebe's
were like, no.
I just ate a bad edible and off we go into this weird story.
But it was supposed to be a combination of horrific and comedic elements. And they felt that scene really comprised those because it really is one of those scenes where you're like, what the actual F is going on? But did you see in Gremlins 2, not to jump too far ahead, but they made fun of that scene where she's like, I don't want to talk about Abraham Lincoln this one time on President's Day. And Billy's like, I don't think we have time for this right now. So they really... like Gremlins 2 is really just a parody of this.
Oh yeah,
first
it absolutely
movie and
was.
just making fun of everything about this first movie.
It absolutely was. And
but
so yeah,
not dark fun fact though is this was filmed on the Universal backlot and used the same town as Back to the Future.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so a lot of this was practical effects, obviously, right? Because there was no CGI. So they tried to use monkeys actually at one point to be used as gremlins, but that was abandoned because the test monkey panicked when it was made to wear a gremlin head. So from there they used puppets and marionettes. Small rubber puppets were actually used and were vastly difficult to work with. And so in order to satisfy like all of the crew working with these puppets, because you couldn't, they had like so many different puppets, they couldn't quite get them right, they couldn't move the way people wanted them to. It was very taxing on the crew to the point where the whole sequence where the gremlins hang Gizmo on a wall and throw darts at him, it was only included because the crew created what was known to them as the horrible things to do to Gizmo list, because it was such a painful experience trying to make these puppets move that they had a horrible things they wanted to do to Gizmo. And so there they included the scene of having darts thrown at him.
Poor Gizmo. Do you know in Cantonese, Magua means devil, demon, or gremlin? And Howie Mandel voices Gizmo. Which I think is kind of funny.
I did not realize that Howie Mandel was Gizmo. When I was looking this up, I was like, what? Howie Mandel does things that aren't cheap created.
He did Bobby's World. You might be too young.
I don't know what that is now. I have no idea.
You know, the mom was like, oh yeah, you betcha. And Bobby's World, he drove his little tricycle. He had the huge head.
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen Howie Mandel not bald.
Well, it was his voice. Okay.
Still, I'm just saying I don't think I've ever seen Howie Mandel like a reasonable age.
Michael Winslow did a lot of the other Gremlin voices, which I'm sure you know him. He does the voices from Police Academy. He was also in Spaceballs making the fun voices. So that was no surprise at all, especially because of when this movie came out.
I could have seen Billy's dad being like John Candy would have played Billy's dad. I feel like if he had more screen time for some reason, that was the energy I was kind of getting as far as like all the, the crazy sort of things that like his mom has the patience of like Jesus Christ herself, because I was like, oh, the egg contraption's cool, but then like the inventions that he makes, so the egg contraption just destroys all the eggs. And then you have the orange juice maker where just, first of all, that little orange did not spray that much juice and pulp all around the kitchen. First of all,
like there's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, it was like a scene out of Nightmare on Elm Street when Johnny Depp gets killed. That's like the amount of juice that came out of that machine was equivalent to Johnny Depp's death in that movie. But it's just like then he had like the shade, like the bathroom buddy he kept around. So it was just like all these inventions that his mom was just like trying to use, and she's trying to answer the phone from like the little walkie-talkie, and then finally she just gets mad and then she like lies to him. I'm like, his mom was so sweet, such a sweetheart. So much so that, fun fact, the final script of the version was actually darker than the film because it included Billy's mother dying in her fight with the gremlins. You might remember that scene where the tree falls on her, the gremlins are trying to attack her, and then Billy would have come home and then the gremlins would have thrown her head down the stairs. And then the gremlins also eat Billy's dog and attack customers that are in McDonald's.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have the dog.
Gizmo was also, like I said, supposed to turn into Stripe, but Spielberg felt he was too cute. But yeah, so the final version was much darker than the one that we actually got. I could not absolutely imagine what that would have been like. It just, geez, Lord. But we already kind of talked about too. How about this? Did you know this fun fact? That Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Emilio Estevez, Ralph Macchio, Rob Lowe, and Judd Nelson actually all auditioned for Billy. However,
I could see Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, I could actually. He kind of has that like
Tom Hanks too.
Young look. I could not have seen Tom Hanks in this movie.
He's too energetic. But yeah, Ralph Macchio, I feel like is very similar to the guy who kind of was cast at the time.
He was, yeah. So Phoebe Cates was cast as Kate first, but despite concerns that she was known for playing more risque parts, like I talked about as Linda Barrett in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Zach got cast because the chemistry between the two were actually off the charts, saying that they already kind of were seemingly in a relationship, it felt like. And so, from that point on, Billy actually really loves this movie because he was a geeky kid, and that being in this movie was a dream to him because he gets to do cool things such as blowing up movie theaters, adding that he gets to work with great people and all that stuff. So it was really kind of cool how that all worked out. And I thought the casting, their chemistry was really great. So listen here, Neil from the Santa Claus, before your nice little pushover therapist, you were not very nice to her in that bar at all.
Have you ever seen the movie Vice Versa?
I have not. Carrie was mentioning that. She goes, he's also in Vice Versa. I was like, huh?
Which is another movie that takes place during Christmas time. It's got Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold, and I need to rewatch that one. That was one we watched regularly when we were little. They switch place. Whoa, it's like a Freaky Friday kind of thing, but it's father and son. But the parents are divorced, so it makes for an even more interesting concept because now the ex-husband has to go home and go live with his ex-wife as a child. And Fred Savage does a great job. He's he needs a martini and all this and whatnot. But that's a great movie. I need to rewatch it. I'll see how it aged. But yeah, look into that.
We'll have to see how it aged. I agree.
You should go watch it with Carrie if she wants to watch it.
We'll see. It's Hallmark Christmas movie season, dude. Now, designer Chris Wallace spoke about the creation of the Gremlins and the initial concept of the creatures. After reading the script, the first idea was to take the tarsier, a little primate, and give it a cartoony proportion. Wanted the big eyes to make it cute. He showed it to Mike Finnell and Joe Dante. Joe Dante's the director. And they asked for some tweaks. So I made the next one, which is more like a puppy, big floppy ears, not based on any particular dog, just more like a Cocker Spaniel or something similar. So fortunately, they didn't go with it. But those were the
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
link to that it made. And from there, yeah, obviously we got the gizmo that we know and love today. And so that's kind of all the facts I have for this movie. I really love like the movie theater sequence, how all of these, they're just like little alien pods, first of all, that they get in. It's really gross. And they're like, what's his name's character is just like touching it with like his Corey Feldman's character is like touching it barehanded. I'm just, that's so
you get a very young
You're touching this weird, gross goo. And then the movie theater scene's cool because they're running through and then
they're all watching Snow White.
Yeah, like they're watching Snow White and they're all singing along and everything. And they blow up the movie theater with the Gremlins in it. But obviously Stripe was out there, and then that's when he gets disintegrated and whatnot. And of course, it was never the last one out there. But
one Gremlin just shoots another one out of nowhere.
Oh my God, there was so like just ridiculous. Yeah. He's got the gun with the thing on, like, and then Phoebe or whatever, the mom ducks and he just shoots. Like, oh my, this movie's unhinged. It's so unhinged.
Completely unhinged. And the second one's even more unhinged. But they really do encapsulate Christmas. You got some great Christmas songs, and there's snow.
You do.
There's
the Christmas tree attack.
Christmas Santa, the guy who always dresses as Santa. You have a traumatizing Christmas story.
It was good. I think this does hold up today. I enjoy it. Even with like the creatures and the mechanics of it all, I think this movie holds up. But
I don't know if we'd have Grogu without Gizmo.
That's fair, actually. I think it's a really good point. Really, I do. Leading me into my next point, that what doesn't hold up is Gremlins 2, which is the new batch. Let's talk about that one. It was released in 1990, written by Christopher Columbus and Charles S. Haas, stars Zach Gaffigan again. Gaffigan? Or interesting. It's not Zach Gaffigan. I don't think it's Zach Gaffigan, but now I already forgot his name. I'm sorry. Now, Phoebe Cates with Howie Mandel is also back. It actually
Galligan.
Yeah, that you threw me off. I was like, that's not right.
Sorry,
that was Galligan,
bad.
But then I started second guessing by
because I really like
notes
what's his face, it's a comedian.
Yes. It is. So it had a 41.5 million box office, where it actually was a budget of 30 to 50 million. Warner Brothers was actually asking director Joe Dante to make a sequel straight away. Dante declined because he saw Gremlins as having a proper ending, and thus a sequel would only be meant to be profitable. Moreover, the original film was a very taxing experience for him, and he wanted to just move on from it. So work on Gremlins 2, the new batch, continued without him. The studio approached various directors and writers. Storylines considered including sending the Gremlins to cities like Las Vegas or even the planet Mars. After these ideas fell through, the studio returned to Dante, who agreed to make the sequel after receiving the rare promise of having complete creative control over the movie.
Like, just do whatever the hell you want. And you
just
know what?
Do it.
He knocked it out of the park in that regard. He's like, I got this then.
He did. He really did. He received a budget triple of the original film, and Dante acknowledged by this point in time, too much had passed between the films, which actually reduced public interest in the Gremlins sequel. So the synopsis is Billy and Kate need to put their Gremlins trauma behind them and decide to start fresh in New York City. As the evil company Billy and Kate work for is trying to make a very corporate Chinatown, they demolish where Mr. Wing is, and Gizmo has to run for his life. However, he gets captured by somebody from the evil company who does genetic research.
And of course, that is the same company that Billy and Kate are working for. What are the odds? So they find him. And they tell him to hide, but of course he gets water on him and all hell breaks loose. But don't worry, because they defeat him in the end with an electricity built up gremlin, thanks to the genetic lab research and water.
Gremlin into like a spider gremlin in this movie.
Nobody
what
saw that
is
coming.
This film? It is.
How much did you like the bat gremlin? He did the bat logo and everything.
Oh my god!
This movie, the amount of pop culture references is insanely high on this. It's like the demons in Supernatural. The Gremlins are just as pop culture savvy as the demons in Supernatural.
This movie actually parodies a few films such as Rambo, Wizard of Oz, Marathon Man, and The Phantom of Opera. And then even in the beginning, which is weird, it starts off with
Bugs
the
Bunny
Looney
and Daffy.
Tunes,
Yeah.
which the Looney Tunes animations were actually meant to set the anarchic tone for the whole film.
And it was Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday. And they're like, I think Daffy makes a comment like, we've had 50 years of this. That's enough. But I mean, this movie literally they didn't literally break the fourth wall. They metaphorically broke the fourth wall twice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, it was
one of the fourth wall breaks. It was a cameo by the film critic Leonard Maltin. He holds up a copy of the original Gremlins home video, denounces
and he's bashing it.
In reality, yeah. However, his rants cut short when Gremlins pounce on him.
He's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." As he's like killed by Gremlins.
And actually, for this scene, one academic called Dante one of the contemporary cinema's greatest pranksters. And then at this point, another point in the film, I should say, Dante attempted to involve his audience in the story by making it seem as if the Gremlins had taken control of the theater where Gremlins 2, the new batch, was showing. The film strip appears to be broken by the Gremlins, who then engage in shadow puppetry over a white screen before replacing the reel with vintage nudie film volleyball holiday. Hulk Hogan makes a cameo appearance as an audience member, intimidates the Gremlins into running the rest of the Gremlins 2 new batch, and the joke was inspired by a similar stunt in William Castle's film The Tinkler from 1959. The studio feared that people might leave the theater if they thought the film had broken. Dante therefore secured the inclusion of the sequence by assembling some people for a preview of the film. When the scene was shown, the real-life audience found it enjoyable and stayed in the theater. Dante later described the scene as one of the most wildly enjoyed jokes in Gremlins 2. They actually did a cut of it on the VHS for home, where the VHS pretends to like melt down and everything too, which is super funny. It's just ridiculous.
Well, and I like they even make a comment in the movie like, "Oh, they want to watch is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs." So they kept referencing the first one. So I thought that was great. Well, it was funny too. We talked about the monkeys in the first one being nervous. In this one, the monkeys wouldn't come out of their cages when the gremlin masks were out,
right?
So because they had the monkeys and the test subjects and whatnot. So the opening aerial shot was a shot of New York that was actually stock footage from Superman 4: The Quest of Peace. So WB really capitalized on their properties that they owned. They did what I guess Disney, you could say, is doing now. Sylvester Stallone did approve Gizmo acting like Rambo, which is of course adorable. So the scene of the mother getting upset about a movie being too violent, and you see her like pull her kid out, that was based on an actual event that happened, which also helped prompt the PG-13 rating. And apparently this little girl though ran back into the theater and hid so she could finish watching Gremlins. Originally, Steven Spielberg wanted the scene cut of the little boy that like runs under the police line, and then he found out it was the director's kid, so they left that scene in.
Oh my God. Again, this is just ridiculous. You know, in the first film, Gizmo multiplied his offspring actually like resembled himself, except for Stripe. But here, when we get the four Mogwai,
oh my God, they're all nuts.
Gizmo produces each possess their own distinct personalities and features, and each one has a name. Although the names were actually used in the script but never spoken in the film, two of them were called George, who was black without a stripe, and a caricature of Edward G. Robertson, and Lenny, who was the bucktooth named for the principal character of Mice and Men, whom they both resemble in appearance and demeanor. Daffy was named for his manic behavior and being the leader, the leader. Mohawk was named obviously for his Mohawk style. So yes, just unhinged. It's all satire. Basically, he didn't want to make this film, and they were like, well, please make this film. He's like, all right, but I got to do whatever I want. And they said, sure. And he made it the most absurd film possible. And I applaud him so much for what he did on this film, because he took his chance. He said, this movie's not serious. People don't want another Gremlins. I don't want another Gremlins. Let's just have fun. And you can't tell me that everybody is not having fun in this film, because Phoebe's got all the wild hats. His boss is like that Billy's boss is trying to just like seduce him and everything.
His boss is Lex Luthor's dad in Smallville. I was like, why does he look so familiar? And
oh my God.
And you got Dooku in this too. Count Dooku's
You did. Christopher Lee was in this movie too.
and when he did like the zap with the electricity, I was like,
he was like, they wanted him to be like a more serious character, but they made him, obviously satirical as well, which worked so well. And
nothing
it's just
in this movie was serious.
Oh my God. Like, it's just crazy.
And the one female, like, apparently all the Gremlins are boys, because the one that drank the potion that had the male and the female logo on it becomes like the sexy girl. And then she's like seducing the one guy, and the one guy's fighting, and at the very end, he just like gives in. What is happening?
And then I love when that one dude's interviewing the other Gremlin who's like the sophisticated type, and they're sitting there and all the chaos happens around.
I love that he's like drinks the brain thing, and you expect him to come up with like a giant brain, and instead he comes up with just glasses on.
Yeah, the whole movie is just absolutely unhinged. I was watching it and I'm just like, initially when I finished it, I was like, that movie was terrible. But as I'm sitting here thinking about it and talking it through with you, I'm like, this movie is actually awesome.
Okay, I'm glad you came around, because when you first texted me, I'm like, sucked is kind of harsh. Like, this movie's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's a movie I should have loved immediately, and I'm surprised I didn't, because it's just... Okay.
Good. I'm glad you're saying this, because I was surprised you didn't too.
Yeah. No, I now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, this movie was absolutely unhinged in the best ways. You're right. This movie was awesome in like all of the wrong ways.
Comment at one point about like Gizmo being like a float in a parade or something, and I believe he did become a float in the Macy's.
I think he did. Yeah. Back when the Furby thing was big. Yeah.
I mean, this was like. Look at like Deadpool and how much we love Deadpool and the fourth wall breaks. Like, I feel like this movie did it ahead of its time.
Oh, it way did. It absolutely did. I mean, it really did.
Yeah. But Gremlins 2 is not a Christmas movie, but it's still
it's not, but like, I mean, it kind of picks up from one. It's not even about being a Christmas movie. It's about just like being ridiculous. It's such a contrast to the original film that you're just like, what? And
then you had the people actually making fun of the rules for the Gremlins in it too. They're like, that doesn't even make any sense.
That's right. I mean, yeah, that's very true.
I love when people call their own faults out.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have much else to say other than this movie was unhinged. Do you have any final thoughts? I know Gremlins 2 is a little bit short, but I mean, what else? What do you want to say? This movie is just crazy. We covered the best scenes.
The video phone, that video phone. How funny was that? The video phones are giant.
There was always, and then of course at the end, the one is still alive and forces to marry it, and oh god, it's just crazy.
They left it open for another sequel.
Crazy how like serious. Yeah, I'd be surprised if this doesn't eventually get remade somehow, and CGI Little Gremlins are out there. Hopefully not, but Gremlins 1 really holds up as a good movie. Gremlins 2 is just, you wake up and you don't even know, like, your split personalities is really what that movie was. But let's wrap things up here. We will shout out our patrons real quick, by the way, because we have our Secret Santa getting ready to go down this month with our Patreons. I want to say thank you to Riley, Corey, Aunt Lynn, Tabby, Scott, Patrick, Stacy, Jess, Tracy, and Micah, all for supporting the show. Nobody has to. Patreon.com/HopsGeekNews if you love what we're doing. gets you in our little group there. We do Patreon movie nights. We have a poll going right now for our patrons to see what movie we're going to be watching on, I believe, December 22nd, Sunday night. We're all going to get together. We're going to do our Secret Santa gifts, and then we're going to roll into the movie night, because not everybody doing the Secret Santa is our patron. You don't have to be a patron to do the Secret Santa.
The Secret Santa was our Discord, and then we have our Patreon is the movie.
So yeah, join our Discord.
Joined our Secret Santa this month, you get invited to the Patreon.
You
and
do.
I don't know what movie we're watching. The poll is still live in our Discord.
We have Violent Night. We have the Guardians holiday special. We got Die Hard, and we have Night Before. So it's a tight race. Last time I checked, there was a 3-way tie.
It is a 3-way tie for Violent Night, Die Hard, and Night Before.
But yeah, man, support the show if you want. $1 as little as it takes, right? Sounding like Sarah McLachlan out here. Exactly. I can't say that without feeling like a sad little puppy on the side.
You voted. Oh, I'm voting if you voted.
Of course I voted. I wanted Violent Night. Come on, don't put my business out there. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow as always on any social media platform, YouTube. Hit us up. Join our Discord, man. Come hang out with us. We have a good time chatting about movies, comics. We got a fitness group where we talk about fitness. We got Legos. We got music. Everything you can think of. We're one big family, and I really appreciate everybody hanging out with us to talk Gremlins. So we will talk to you guys here next time. Cheers, everybody.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com. The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, be sure to check out nerdinitiative.com.
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit BMWUSA.com for details.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.